All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's my boy Jacob Meister. He's live in the studio. Jacob, we're about to go live. You ready?
I am ready.
All right, people, we're watching live. You are watching live. It's your boy Maze Jackson with my guest Jacob Meister. You know what? I think I'm going to have to get a wider screen. You know what? I know what I'm going to do. We'll just do it just kind of like, man, can we put it right there? Ooh. Let's see. What can we do? Let's see how fresh can I get with this.
That works.
All right.
5, 4, 3, 2.
You are tuned in live to the Meister radio show and podcast. We are broadcasting live on Facebook. Tune in, www.facebook.com/MazeJack. We are live in the studio, and in studio right next to me, I have attorney Jacob Meister, who is candidate for clerk of the circuit court. Jacob, welcome. How are you tonight?
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, Jacob, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I am, I've been practicing in the Cook County courts for the last 25 years as a lawyer. Got into this race because I am well aware of grave deficiencies that the courts have. Our current clerk came into office 15 years ago, promising to bring the office into the 21st century, has failed to do it. Still works with carbon paper. It's a paper-based system. Even though there's 1.5 million cases that go through the court every year, we're still operating fundamentally in the 1960s. There have been some, small changes that have been made, but we have we've got a computer system that dates back to 1997. We need to bring it into the 21st century.
Thank you for being here. So you are running against the clerk of the circuit court, Dorothy Brown, who is an incumbent, and Michelle Harris. Give me your outlay on the race and tell me how you think it's going to fall out. And what makes you think that you can win in a race that is dominated by two African-American women?
Well, the landscape of the race is really good. We've been out there. My campaign is fully up and running. You discussed before I got on the air a lot of the ups and downs of the race. This has been, I think, probably like no other election in Cook County Democratic Party history. There's been slating and reslating and re-reslating. I think we're on our third round of slating in the various offices. Mine went through 2. I narrowly lost to Dorothy back in August.
So let's talk about that. You narrowly lost. So tell me, where can we expect that you would get your support from? Who prior to, and I think this will give us some insight as to kind of how this race lays out. Who would you say was supporting you? Who were the committeemen that were supporting you going into the slating?
I had a tremendous base of committeemen. There's a lot of lawyers that are committeemen who really understand how fundamentally broken our court system is and the impact that has on social justice. And let's face it, this election cycle, and I've been saying it even before it became apparent to a lot of people, this election, more than any other, maybe in my life and in your life, is about social justice and the issues that impact our communities and the people who, if we look at social justice, in the social justice complex, so to speak, in Cook County, we have the sheriff's department, we have the state's attorney, we have the clerk of the circuit court, you've got the public defender, you've got all of these people together who make up the justice, and the judges, of course, and they make up the justice system. And in this election, at every level, whether we're talking about the presidential race, we're talking all the way down to the school board, we're talking about social justice, the interrelations between how our government operates and interacts with our communities.
So, Jacob, I get it, but that sounds like a whole bunch of mumbo-jumbo. Tell me, how does really the clerk of the circuit court really affects social justice? I mean, people tell me all the time, this is the most important election of our times. How does the clerk of the circuit court really affect social justice?
Well, what's our government? Our government is a bunch of different systems. Whether and our government operates these systems, and we rely on them as citizenry in order to go about our normal life. So whether we're talking about our water system, which we're electing water reclamation district people. Our road systems.
Shout out to Commissioner Carey Steele. Not in this election, but always remember Commissioner Carey Steele.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can count on your support for her, right?
Of course.
All right, that's right. Okay.
So, our road systems, our water systems, our public health care system, and our court system is one of those things. And our courts handle, we rely on our courts to deliver justice. The clerk of the circuit court is the one who administers everything from foreclosures to evictions, the criminal courts, the civil courts, our child, when there's child,
Go ahead,
custody,
say it, child support, man.
Child support, child custody, divorces, probating estates, and we've got, if the system is not functioning, justice isn't being done. And right now, as we sit here right now today, there's probably 100 inmates over at the Cook County Jail who should have been released. A court has dismissed their case. The court's ordered them released, but the clerk's office is delayed in paperwork, or there's paperwork errors, which mean that person is sitting in jail. And sometimes it's a week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks somebody sits in jail because the clerk is messed up.
Wait. So you're telling me that the clerk of the court can have you... the clerk of the court is how people get lost in county. Because now, if you are tuned into the Meister radio show and podcast, you all are aware of the whole process of getting lost in the county. Has anybody ever heard of that system where you go to the county jail, you get locked up, and then they lose you in the county? Is that what you're talking about?
They lose paperwork. Paperwork doesn't make it to where it needs to be. It's still a paper-based system, so paperwork needs to be physically filled out and transmitted over to the sheriff, and the sheriff follows the court's order and says, oh, this person's out. But if the clerk's not doing their job, that paperwork doesn't get to where it's supposed to be, or the paperwork has errors, it doesn't happen. I just dealt with a situation where the parent of a kid who was in the Illinois Department of Corrections, he was 18 years old, he was sentenced for, I believe it was a theft of some sort, sentenced to 18 months as a minor. Kid turns 18, 6 months after the release date, still in Illinois Department of Corrections. 6 months it took to clear that up, and the error was in the clerk's paperwork and the clerk's record keeping, so the Illinois Department of Corrections never found out what the real order and release date was. So yes, it happens daily, and then of course then the county has to it gets sued for for making the error. Somebody ends up sitting in jail or prison for extra time. They've lost their civil rights, cost the county or the state extra money, and then there's a lawsuit that follows. So it happens. The issues of social justice are so tremendous that if we don't have a system, our judges can't do their job. That's one of the reasons I got into this race, was because I had a number of judges who, starting 2 years ago, started urging me to run because Dorothy Brown has not in 15 years done what she's promised she's going to do, and the system is breaking down. If our roadway system had collapsing bridges, people would know it, but when the court system's broken, people aren't as well aware of it. Your judges and your lawyers and the people who actually use the court system know how broken it is.
So back to my question, man. Answer the question. Who was supporting you on the way in? Because I want to watch. Now, see, I'm going to tell you that we're going to see some very, very interesting dynamics play out in this race. And so I want to know who was supporting you in August. Now we're not putting anyone on the spot. We're not saying that anyone's being treacherous. I just want to know, going into it, who were the committeemen that were supporting you as you went?
I had a very broad base of
committeemen
supporting me. I had them all the way from the North Shore. Oh, okay.
This is the Meister radio show and podcast. What make people watch this show is because we ask the questions that people want to know.
Who voted for me? Yes. Emma Mitz voted for me.
Emma Mitz, all right. Emma Mitz, come on.
I had... You're taking me back in time. You're turning to Lou.
Come on, was it Lou Lang?
I think I had Lou Lang with me.
I
had, Michelle Harris. I had, believe Bob Fioretti was with me. We had, Tony Preckwinkle voted present, so she voted for neither of us.
So wait, Michelle Harris voted. Wait.
No. Tony Preckwinkle.
But didn't you just say Michelle Harris was supporting you?
No, Tony Preckwinkle was neutral.
Okay, where was Michelle Harris? Who did she support?
I believe she was with Dorothy.
Okay.
I believe she was with Dorothy. But
okay, I was going to say, that would have been a big turnaround, and you would have got it all live right here on the Meister Radio Show and Podcast. You are tuned in to the Meister Radio Show and Podcast, where my guest tonight is Jacob Meister, attorney and candidate for Cook County Clerk of the Circuit Court. So now, Jacob.
You want others?
Yeah, give me some more.
I believe Rod Sawyer, I believe, was with me.
Whoa, Alderman Sawyer. So now, go ahead. The reason I'm asking this is because I will be doing a palm card check, right? So I'm going to do a palm card check, and I'm going to check the palm cards to see if the support matches what we're talking about now.
Well, this is back in August.
Now, Jacob, I'm with you. We're not going to put anybody on the spot, but being a veteran of Illinois politics, I know how these things work. And Jacob, as an attorney, let me ask a question. Are you a fundraiser? Do you raise big funds?
That's a necessary part of politics. Absolutely.
So, Jacob, how much money have you raised on behalf of your campaign?
We are. My campaign is in six figures. I believe we reported at December 31st, 300 and you probably know better than I do. $320,000.
Woo! 320 stacks in the bank. We're gonna have to check.
We've actually raised over $400,000. We
have cash on hand.
I think we had 300 at the end of the year.
Now I'm gonna say that's probably. Would you say that's more than any other candidate in the race?
Yeah. As far as I know, I mean.
Jacob, where does that base of support come from? Talk to me. I know you've got a diverse array of support. You fit into a variety of categories. Now, for our listeners, right? I mean, for our listeners, our viewers, Jacob, you fit into the legal category. That's big dough. Big dough. Fit into the gay community. Bigger dough, dual incomes, no kids. Third one, you fit into the lake. Would you consider yourself one of those lakeshore liberal type of guys?
I'm in Logan Square. Bucktown area. So I don't know if that's lakeshore, but certainly there's the lakefront, which has been supportive of me.
All right. Now, if anybody has briefed you on this show, they would tell you that you know what my question is, right? The question that I always ask is, what's in it for the black people? That's right. You heard it here. Now, we're going to ask Jacob Meister right here live on the Meister Radio Show. What's in it for the black people? First, in your campaign. And then second, if you were elected clerk of the circuit court, what could black people expect to be their benefit?
I mean, it's really easy.
Come on, talk.
It's a fair justice system. It's a justice system that doesn't get people ground up in broken systems. It's about those people who are, and it's the communities of color, the blacks, the Latinos, who are probably shafted the worst by the court system being as broken as it is. It's in foreclosures. It's in child support, child custody, divorces, evictions, whether they're in the criminal system. The way that the court operates right now, as we said, means people languish in jail when they should be out. It means that when somebody doesn't have a lawyer, where do they show up first? They show up in the clerk's office. It is a mess for somebody to deal with. We've got tremendous problems with the working poor, who have very poor customer service. You can't go into the clerk's office, and if you're not represented, it's a maze you get lost in, and that often means you get evicted, you get foreclosed on, your child gets taken away from you. The clerk's office has a fundamental duty to take care of those people when they walk through the door and make sure that they're pointed in the right direction. There needs to be greater social services available. A lot of people that walk into the courtroom, if you go into those eviction courtrooms on any given day, and I've been there, my heart goes out to people who are there who are not represented. You see predominantly people of color, black and Latinos.
You can say black on this show. Let me say, as a matter of fact, on this show, you get points if you say the word
You see blacks and Latinos. You see people who have mental health issues. You see veterans who are suffering from PTSD. You see senior citizens and elderly who can't cope with life in general, and there's not any support for them. I mean, I go into those courtrooms, and I regularly will end up helping people who. I mean, I wish I could represent everybody that sits in those courtrooms.
Man, you be poor.
Poor, black, Latino. I mean, those people who are being evicted. And let's be honest about it. You know, your average landlord isn't always the fairest of plaintiffs out there. And when you're unrepresented and you walk into that courtroom and you're alone, you know, you need help. I wish I go into this courtroom. I mean, I do help people as a lawyer, but you know, you can't help everybody. As a clerk, I'm going to be in a position to be able to make sure people are pointed in the right direction so that they at least don't get ground up in this system. And right now we've got a clerk who doesn't do that.
So, Jacob, you are, first of all, so I just want to let you know this is our very first broadcast on Facebook Live. And so you are an innovator. And you guys, we're working out the kinks, so I appreciate you sticking with us.
We got a camera over there and a camera over here.
We got a camera over here and a camera over here. But the camera we're watching is the Facebook Live camera. I want to say a special shout out to Helen Tyner. Thanks to Quavatus for watching, Cheryl Maynor, all of you all. Keep on, Felicia Gatewood all the way from Bolingbrook. I appreciate you. If you got questions, why don't you give them to us live? If you give them to us live, I'll try and get the questions read on the air. So
other ways, you know, we've got expungements. We've got expungements. The current clerk has an expungement seminar. Mm-hmm. It's one a year. It's not necessarily well located for people, and I hear this from a lot of people all the time. I want to have expungement seminars, at least one or two a month, all over the county in all areas, so that they're accessible, so that people can get them. You know, it can be expunged. Very important in terms of making sure that we're people, you get denied jobs, you can get, you know, all sorts of problems.
Stop right there. Let's talk about jobs. Helen, I got you. I'm about to ask this question. So let's circle back.
Talk about jobs.
Let's talk about jobs.
This is the big issue.
Let's talk about jobs. It is. So I'm going to tell you what always winds up happening. And Jacob, I appreciate you and all of the social content of everything that you are going to do if you are elected the clerk of the circuit court. But the reality is the reason that Madigan and all these people are doing so much battle over this office, and I tell it like it is because the clerk of the circuit court has the most jobs that pay between $70,000 and $150,000 a year, and they don't honor the Shackman decree, which means that there are a lot of people and a lot of jobs in those spots. Correct? Correct or not correct?
There is. Shackman is a series of decrees.
Got it.
The 1973 decree applies.
There's a lot of jobs.
There are a lot of jobs.
Would you agree or disagree that is one of the main reasons that people fight for the clerk's office?
I think that's one of the reasons. It's the big pork chop out there that everybody wants a piece of.
My question is, what would you do to make sure that black people got their fair share of those positions? Now, you know, I know you're one of those liberal guys, so you probably want to computerize everything and get rid of all the jobs. But my question is, how will black people benefit in a Jacob Meister-led clerk of the circuit court administration?
Well, I have a very fundamental belief that it's a big county, it's a really diverse county, and the makeup of the clerk's staff needs to be reflective of the county as a whole. And blacks are an essential part of the makeup of the clerk's staff, and without a doubt, they will probably be overrepresented in my administration.
So let me ask a question. In your campaign, who do you have that is black that we would know, or maybe not, we don't even have to know, but can you name some of the black staffers that you've got on your campaign that would be, so that we know that it's integral into what you're doing?
First of all, my campaign staff is very small, but I wish I could have them all here. We've got,
come on.
You don't know Joyce. You don't know Joyce.
Joyce who?
Joyce is...
Give me a last name. Have we seen her in the campaign world before?
Yeah, Joyce has been on many campaigns. She's worked with me very closely. Ella White is working on my campaign. Keep in mind, I only have a few staff people.
Okay.
I only have a few staff people, but Ella is has worked
In your
with
workplace, talk to me. In your workplace, do you have your own firm, or you work? For
I
a
have
firm?
my own firm.
So, in your own firm, how diverse is your firm?
I've got 4 lawyers.
How many black?
None.
How many Asian?
None.
How many Latino?
We've got 2 men.
How many
And
Latino?
me, 3 men and a woman.
How diverse are those? Is that group? Pretty not.
Not.
Okay.
Not.
All right. Now, so I'm gonna tell you. I'm
far
gonna
less.
tell you that I understand that you have a small firm. In my firm, they're all black too. So I understand, right? Look, I have a small firm. We only have black folks. Not that there's anything wrong with hiring white people. We just have a very small firm. All I'm
my
gonna say.
my campaign has Latinos,
Okay.
blacks, women, men, white.
Okay.
You know, it's a small, but it's a very small. It's a small campaign staff. So
okay, I'll give you that. So, the vice president of the Cook County Bar Association would like to know. Hey, Natalie, we see you out there. Thanks for watching. What's your legal background?
I've been practicing for 25 years. I practice.
Hey, you that old man?
I am.
You that old to be practicing 25 years? Now, let me just tell you. Usually I say black don't crack. You look good for being in the game 25 years. So how old are you? Or is that
50?
Are you 50?
I'm 50.
Jacob, you know I see your name all the time, and I always see you associated with some like young professional stuff. You're an old dude, man.
I am, but I'm very active. I do a lot of grassroots work, and maybe that's what keeps me looking young.
Okay, so tell me more.
So I practiced. I was a partner with a large firm for many years.
And what happened? They didn't throw you out.
And that was the large firm. Actually, there were 2 mergers, and then everybody left.
So you got paid in the mergers, though, didn't you? Tell the truth.
No. I continued on, and then at the end, I mean, basically, I had one firm. It merged with another, and I was there, and
you ever notice how rich people act when you start talking about how rich they are?
All my former partners left.
Okay.
So
they left you with all the dough?
And I went out and I started my own firm, which actually was a really good thing. And I started a not-for-profit, the Civil Rights Agenda. We practice in LGBT civil rights discrimination work. But I've done, it's I actually look at it as kind of my second career. When I did that, I started doing a lot of, done race discrimination, age discrimination, pregnancy, gender, sexual orientation, you name it. I've represented in my career a child who needed a heart transplant, whose parents' insurance company had refused to give it to him, so the insurance company got the kid the heart. I've represented autistic children in lawsuits against Chicago Public Schools so that they could get one-on-one aids during the school day. As a matter of fact, during this campaign, I took 3 days off and tried a case against Hobby Lobby for transgender discrimination, and successful in finding them liable. So that's, Hobby Lobby, those are the things I'm passionate about.
Now, let me tell you, Jacob, now let me say this.
So, and I do commercial, and in answer to that question, I also do commercial litigation.
Okay. So, now, let me ask a question about your campaign plan. Since I got the publisher of the Chicago Defender. Hi, Cheryl. How are you?
Hi, Cheryl.
Appreciate you. And we got your communications director in the building, who I know knows his responsibility to the community. Can we count on seeing you on Black Media? Will we expect to see you in the Defender, on WVON, maybe even advertising right here on this show?
Absolutely. We absolutely have that in our plan.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, you guys, you are tuned into the Meister radio show and podcast, where my special guest today is attorney Jacob Meister, who is running for clerk of the circuit court. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I had the plan. Now, as you're tuned in, you know me, and you know that I like to give the tough interviews. And as I was preparing to interview Mr. Meister, I get a text I get a text from a guy comes up, and it's X-Man, right? It's X-Man. Now, if you are Chicagoan, you know the history of this brother and what he means to Chicago hip-hop. The first internet star we ever had, right? Boca Music. X-Man, Xavier Norges in the building. Now, he called me and said, hey, Mace, I'm Jacob's communications director. I was like, they set me up. They set me up because now I can't even go in because my man is handling the business. But let me just tell you what I'm proud of. What I'm proud of is to see hip-hop all grown up, and I see us translating what we did years ago, fighting in the streets, really trying to record and trying to create a scene for Chicago. To see X-Man come showing up, and you got to go back and check out the pre-show interview in the breaks, and you can see his fancy shoes and jacket. Because I remember this guy when he was a hip-hop b-boy, and he wore his fedora. And man, I'm telling you, they was like, this thing called the internet. You download my music, we the number one most downloaded. And I was like, man, we don't know about that. And now, lo and behold, it has changed the whole way that we interact. It's this internet that you are watching us broadcasting live, and we would have never, 10 years ago, even known that this was going to be possible. So I just want to say a shout out to you for that, because what I appreciate is to see that hip-hop growing up, and that as we grow up, that there are opportunities. So I want to tell you that I appreciate you hiring one of my peers.
X
a
is
lot
the
of
best.
us,
He's the
X
best.
is the man. So y'all don't know, you see X-Man's work all the time. You tune on, this the number one spender of dollars for cable, making commercials, doing the thing. You know what I'm saying? Boca, representing. I don't even do that for competitors. Because, I do a little political strategy myself. But it's all love for my man. Okay, Jacob Meister. We only have a few more minutes left for this broadcast. So we're going to freestyle a little bit. Tell me some things. Let's do a little freestyle. All right. So tell me, what is your favorite movie?
Oh, boy. I'll tell you.
Come on.
Willy Wonka, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, still my favorite movie to this day.
I've never seen
That's
it.
brutally honest.
I've never seen it. Okay. My favorite
You've
movie.
never seen it?
No, Purple Rain is my favorite.
Oh, my God. Purple Rain's good.
Okay. So, what kind of car do you drive? I bet it's a. Go ahead. You know what I mean?
It's a Volvo.
It's a Volvo. Oh, it's a Volvo. Man, you're not going to buy American?
My next is American.
Okay.
My next one's American. Absolutely.
Now.
This was Volvo when I got this Volvo. It was made by Ford. So.
Okay. Married or single?
Single.
Single. So now, are you dating?
No, not right now.
Now let me
Not
ask the
right
question.
now. Although I'm told I'm an eligible bachelor.
You're told you're an eligible bachelor. So, is there any possibility that in the clerk's office there could be a first man? How would they label that?
I don't know.
If you got if you dated somebody,
What do they
you guys
call
got
Benton?
huh?
What do they call Benton?
Who's Benton?
Cook. Dorothy's.
Nope. They call him under investigation. But I'm sorry. Okay. I'm sorry, guy. It's the Meister Radio Show and Podcast. If we can't laugh here, where can we
So
laugh?
I don't know, is it a first class? Is it a?
Okay. All right. I don't know what they call that, but that'll be interesting. All right. Let me say, how do you think this race breaks?
I think I have a lot of the political pundits are calling me the guy. It's my race to lose, and I think that's true. I think we've got a clerk right now that is widely recognized, and I know it's only allegations, but she's had some. There's been indictments in her office. They took the electronics. There's where there's smoke, there's fire.
Now
where
look,
there's smoke, there's fire.
Let me just caution you with that, right? The caution with that is, first of all, I think Dorothy Brown said she got her phone back.
She got her back.
So she got her phone back. It's live. You can catch that on the Maze Jackson Facebook page as well. She said that she's got the phone back. But the thing I just want to caution you.
They have the data.
I want to.
They have the data.
I want to caution you when dealing with black people. You've got to be very careful because black people know the difference between a charge and being indicted. And so be careful as you touch on that because, I don't know. And what do you think about this thing that we're hearing that, look, we're about to go out. We're going to come back with this live. Hey, Earl, I know I've only got a few minutes, but I want to go to break because I want to come right back. So we'll be right back live in less than 1 minute. You are tuned into the Meister Radio Show and podcast.